Hello, so I've got another video here for you today, and this video is all about what my top 10 fancy goldfish are that can be kept outdoors in ponds in the UK. Now, I just want to say that keeping fish, I've done a lot of research on this. There's one pile of books I've got, but keeping fancy goldfish outdoors is a matter of judgment, and it's going to be based on really quite a number of factors. For example, like if you're getting imports from somewhere like Thailand or Indonesia, which you can see here, these ones are from Indonesia, then they're going to be used to that warmer weather. Chinese fish tend to have been raised with us maybe a little bit more wintry weather. Japan has very cold winters, but they're quite short. As I said, where you live in the UK is also going to be a factor. So these fish here, I know they're from Lucky's Ranchu, and he keeps them outdoors in a polytunnel. In this particular video, they're down to 5 degrees, so that kind of shows you what can be done. I also want to talk about the fact that some people say, for example, Lay from Goldfish Corner, he says that overwintering is really good for most fish. It can boost wen growth, since body growth slows down. It can promote their mating behaviour in spring. He goes into a lot of detail in that on his YouTube channel. But as I said, this is not supposed to be the only fish that can be kept outside, or an exact science. You've really got to take into consideration all the factors that I've mentioned above. I'm also not going to go into loads and loads of detail on each variety here. I might do something like that in the future, but to finish off with, I want to say a massive thanks to everybody who shared this footage with me. I've tried to include names underneath for those people that wanted me to reference their names. This is kind of all made up of footage that I've collected myself or people have shared with me. Okay, so the first fish I wanted to talk about was actually not really that fancy, and I think you could say that for a few of the fish on this list, but it's the habuna. And the habuna is what you'd kind of recognise as the common goldfish, in the UK at least. And we've got some really nice big examples shown here. But it's, the western common goldfish, I should say, and it's extremely hardy and does come in a lot of different colours. It really does continue to be one of the most popular fish just because of how hardy it is. It can grow very big. It can grow up to 12 inches. So you need to consider that and not keep it in a small tank. Pond is the best environment. We've got a really nice example here, which is more of a kind of yellowy colour. So you can find them in lots of different colours as well. And habuna is just going to be one of those fish that is so strong because it still resembles the carp that goldfish have originally come from. And here we've got a lovely example that's kind of black and silver in colour, black and white. You can also find them in more unique patterns, like this one's got a tancho style spot that you'd potentially see on a koi. This one here is actually a matte red. It's also called a glass scale. So really thanks for that video being shared to me. So that's the kind of first variety I want to talk about. And they do grow big, so just be aware. But habuna is a common goldfish, something that people don't really consider, but it's a brilliant fish for a pond. We've got the comets here now as well. So comets are going to be originally from China. They're sort of very similar to the habuna, but they are with that streamlined body. But they do have a much longer tail, so they kind of glide through the water. I guess they're kind of moving it a bit like a comet with the tail streaming behind it. And you've got a nice example here with a really, really long tail. So they are very hardy, very similar to the habuna in lots of ways, apart from that tail. We've got some lovely deep red variety of comets here. Just thought it was worth including those. And something a bit more unusual, kind of a brown or chocolate colour, you might call that. So as I said, really hardy fish, kind of similar to the habuna, but with that longer tail, and potentially going to be a bit more interesting for some people. I thought it was worth including these on the list. So the next variety of goldfish, shabunkins. Now, shubunkins are a very popular fish for ponds. They're extremely hardy. They are not as fancy as some of the ones we're going to get into, but because of that long body, and there is a bit of a theme here with these goldfish, they tend to have a long body, and that makes them just a little bit less compact and potentially more suitable for these ponds. So there's a few different varieties of shubunkins. Just to spoiler really, all three of the varieties that I've researched do end up making this list. But they were first bred in Japan. They've got streamlined bodies and sort of even fins. They are a calico goldfish, which means they have nacreous scales, a mix of metallic and transparent scales. They've got overlapping patches of red, white, blue, grey and black, and they're a really beautiful fish actually. If they've got blue on them as well, lots of blue anyway, they tend to be a little bit more desirable. As I said before, there are a few different types of shubunkins, and these particular ones with the longer fins would count as maybe American shubunkins, Japanese or Chinese, depending on where they were bred. But they are incredibly beautiful fish in my opinion, and worth having a look at for a pond. So next on the list we've got the Watanabe goldfish, and they are a variety of goldfish that look very similar to the Joaquin goldfish. This is one that I bought, which is kind of verging between a Joaquin and a Watanabe. The tail's not as long as some of them I'll show you in the videos that people have shared with me. But this one is a calico, it's got some nice blue on it, and they're twin tail goldfish. You can see here from above, available in lots and lots of different colours. These red and white ones are particularly nice in my opinion. They really stand out, and that's something that if I found some varieties that look like that, I would definitely get them for my pond. But I'm a big fan of the Joaquin goldfish, and these are very similar, but they've just got that longer finnage. So if that's something that you want to make them a bit more fancy, then it's definitely worth looking into them. So as I said, double tail. They've got a variety of different colours they can come in, and really interesting fish in my opinion. Very hardy because of that. You can see these varieties are, some of them deeper red, some of them more of an orange colour, and they're going to be a really interesting fish for a pond. So that's the Watanabe goldfish. By the way, if there is any that I've missed on this list that you would have put, please do comment below. I know that it's not an exhaustive list, like I said at the beginning. But here we go. So number six, we've got the chicken goldfish. Now, I've always loved these. This is one of those goldfish that, to me, is a really nice cross between the fancy and not so fancy. This particular one I netted when I was looking for some Joaquin goldfish in Star Fisheries. They are quite a rare fancy goldfish, this one. I got mine from Star Fisheries, and they had been bred in the UK, so I know that it was okay to overwinter. They can be known as a peacock goldfish, or also a Rokurin goldfish, and they've got 4-lobed tail, and that makes them a little bit more unique. They are a Japanese variety. They're popular. They can be popular in the UK, but if you can find them. And there is a particular style of them with 6 red points. So their lips, and that's the red coloration on them, which is their lips, their dorsal fin, pectoral fin, ventral, anal and caudal fins. And also often seen on the gill plates and their underbelly. Now, that is a variety, or a kind of version of the chicken goldfish that is very, very rare if it's got those 6 points on it. This is my little variety here, along with a little London shubunkin you can see there. And I bought this one because of what I thought it had quite unique coloration. I'm not incredibly into the whole 6-point side of it. I quite like more of a unique pattern, and I view my fish from above. So this is a little one I bought quite recently, and it's something that I'm going to grow out, see how it goes. But yeah, these ones all here we can see do have that 6 red points on their fins, and that is desirable to some people. They are a really hardy fish, something that you might think of including in a pond, especially if you can find a variety or some that have been bred by a UK breeder. They can lose their colour in age, it's just one of those things, but Really beautiful fish in my opinion, and especially even when viewed from above. You can see here, I wanted to include this footage here because that peacock tail, as it's called, can really be seen nicely from above. Okay, so next on the list we've got some Bristol shebunkins. I did say there was a few shebunkins on this list. So a shebunkin is basically a single-tailed calico goldfish, but there are different varieties. There's the ones you commonly get in the garden centre, and then there's some more unique varieties or more specific varieties. And these ones in particular are Bristol shebunkins. They were named and developed by the Bristol Aquarist Society. As I said before, I'm not going to go into the exact standards, which is something I might do in the future, but they basically have a more of a heart-shaped tail compared to the London shebunkin or potentially the American, Japanese, longer finned shebunkin. Really beautiful fish in my opinion, and something that I am going to look for and collect for my DIY fancy goldfish pond. So, hopefully I can find a good supply of those and add a couple to my collection. Got some really nice examples here shown. Again, with other shebunkins, if it has more blue on it, tends to be slightly more desirable. It's got varieties from all over the world shared with me here, so hopefully we can see a difference in pattern and coloration as well. And as I kind of gave it away a little bit on the last one, this next variety is the London shebunkin. So it kind of looks like a calico version of the common goldfish, really. That's what some people call it. I would argue that it's got a bit more size to it in terms of around its kind of the front of the fish, but yeah, it depends on the ones you're looking at. They're kind of shorter and deeper, I guess, than the Bristol shebunkin, that's for sure. They are quality fish. They're going to have like really high intensity colour that kind of extends into their fins, and it was developed in London. The London shebunkin was developed in England between World War I and II, and so the bloodline goes back really more than 80 years. There's a long history with it. Okay, so next on the list, the tamasaba. The tamasaba are quite rare. I did see them when I went to a pond sort of show recently, but I hadn't seen them previous years, so maybe they're just starting to be introduced. But here's a nice example that I netted while I was at Star Fisheries, and it's really that benny, the red on the fish that you can see from above. They're really kind of round bodies with arched backs. They've got long flowing tails. They usually have a solid and red sort of skin pattern, and they can be found in more of a calico pattern, and sometimes they look similar to koi fish, which brings us on to the fact that they can go into ponds with koi. Where I saw them was actually a koi show, so they're often sold at those kind of shows. We can see here there's some nice footage of some koi and some tamasaba living together. They eat the same food, so really hardy. They can definitely go outside all year round. Okay, now you might not be surprised if you've seen my channel before, but one of my top fish would be the top view ranchu. Ranchu is kind of sometimes described as like the king of goldfish, and that's just something that people write. It's maybe not your opinion, but they definitely say that in Asia, and it's definitely still one of the most popular goldfish in the UK, but keeping them outside can be difficult because they've come from warmer climates. They are a dorsal-less fish, which these particular variety should be viewed from above. So the main difference, I guess, between a side view ranchu and a top view ranchu is kind of the egg-shaped body on the side view ranchu, and the top view ranchu are going to be more square or box shape. So the hood developments also look a little bit different. These are my ones here, and these are all from a UK based breeder called Andrew James. So I spoke to him personally on a number of occasions, and he has said that they can overwinter in the UK if given the right conditions. So that's why they've made my list. Last but not least, we've got the Joaquin goldfish. So the Joaquin goldfish is a Japanese fancy goldfish. It's been around since the 1500s apparently, make it one of the oldest varieties of Japanese goldfish. They can grow pretty large, 10 to 12 inches, but even more than that, I guess, if given the right conditions. They're really fast swimmers. This is one of my best examples here, one of my favourite examples at least, with a really deep belly. And this is a fish, a male fish, that I plan on breeding from this year. So they do require a lot of room, like I said, and they come in different colours as well though, not just red and white. We've got the calico version here that I bought. I've got a male and a female calico version that I may be breeding with in the future. We can also see that sometimes you can get, a bit like the other goldfish really, but you can get some varieties that potentially resemble koi in their markings. Something like a tancho koi with the red spot on the front of the head. That's something that could be seen as slightly desirable, and we've got a nice one there, actually a little bit more unique with 2 spots. So I keep quite a few of these Joaquin goldfish, and in my opinion they're just one of the best for outdoors because you get so many unique colours. You have that really deep red that you can find on some of the fish. When you're viewing them from above, they look amazing, and they're really hardy. So, you know, I've selected a few from different places, Westview Fancies, Star Fisheries, and you know, it's one of those fish that I would definitely recommend if you're looking for something that's a bit more fancy, that can survive in UK ponds. As long as you meet their requirements, then definitely you can find them in so many different unique colours. Now, I just wanted to say a massive thank you again to everybody who did share videos, because at the end of the day, I have collected some videos myself over the years, but I was also asked people that I know from the hobby, and they've been really generous at sharing that. And just again, this is not a definitive list at all. There are people that have kept fancy goldfish outside. There's a legendary goldfish keeper, Tommy Sutton Jr. and Senior, and they've overwintered loads of fish, but they are very, very good. They're legendary people who know exactly what they're doing. So it's one of those things where you can give it a go, but be aware of moving fish indoors or heating ponds if you need to. But this, in my opinion, is a list of fish that shouldn't need that, as long as you fulfill their requirements. So massive thank you for watching. Just finishing off with a nice few clips here of some Joaquin goldfish. Got some here that were shared with me, which are really nice examples of calico fish, and I'm hoping to ask this person to help me, because I'm going to be breeding my Joaquin goldfish this summer. If that's something you fancy watching in the future, you know, feel free to follow along. Again, this is just my opinion on these fancy goldfish. I'd like to hear yours in the comments below. And if you like this video, you fancy seeing more that are similar, please do hit that subscribe button, give me a like. It really helps me feel motivated to put the time together and make videos. Hopefully it's something you enjoyed. So thanks for watching.